Hello. I meant to do this between episodes, but I didn't. But today we're doing an episode around enchanting, and I kind of wish I had a looting sword right now, since that actually would affect this. Speaking of enchantments, because yeah, that's what we're going over today. So first of all, to even let's get started. Why am I here? I need levels. We're going to I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the enchantments here. Then I'm going to go over how to actually do any enchanting once I have a competent amount of levels and I'm done talking about all of the actual enchantment effects you can get. Which is what we'll be doing today. Now, I'm going to start with the two enchantments you can put on anything. Mending, which you'll notice that's the one I really wanted a villager for if you've not touched enchanting much. This is because it will use EXP or to repair durability of whatever you put it on. It does cut into the EXP you gain, but for the most part it makes your weapons unbreakable as long as you're getting enough EXP. Which with EXP farms, that works out perfectly well. It also applies to it's only what you're holding and any armor you have on, any gear you have equipped as well. And that includes shields, because anything with durability can have mending and also unbreaking, which increases your durability. Which is something really good as well. Now, and the maximum level for unbreaking is 3. We'll go over how to increase levels, but it's a pretty basic idea. Higher levels means more effect. Something worth mentioning for mending, though, is that you cannot put it with a different enchantment for both Infinity. We'll cover Infinity when we get to the bow enchantment, since I want to go in the order I set up. But just know, you do get a greater effect out of what the friggin' I'm trying to say. You don't get to use both Mending and Infinity. Those are incompatible enchantments. Because not all enchantments are compatible with each other. You have to pick between some. There's also one more enchantment anything can have, but it's actually one of the curses. There's only 2, to my knowledge, for the curses. And the first is Curse of Vanishing, which makes it so that if you die, the item just disappears. Curse of Vanishing is awful. So to have on your good gear, it always sucks to see. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So I guess we'll move on to the armor enchantments, and since I just talked about one of the curses, we might as well get the other one out of the way. Curse of Binding, which makes it so you cannot remove the armor piece unless you die or the armor breaks. Which is particularly bad in multiplayer, because you can also apply that to pumpkins and heads. Pumpkins are a lot worse because they also limit your vision in first person. We haven't seen, or jack-o'-lanterns more accurately. The unlit one. I wanted to cover that one first because we just covered the other curse, but next up, protection, projectile protection, blast protection, and fire protection. These are interesting. Starting with protection, each individual level, it goes up to 4, and it does stack between armor pieces. Just lowers all of your damage you take by 4%. This is for... So, level 4 protection on one armor piece is 16. You can stack that between all 4 your armor pieces. I'm not 100% sure about the other protection enchantments, at least as of now. I'll have to double check that before I edit this. But projectile protection, blast protection, and fire protection, assuming my notes are still correct and it wasn't changed, have double the effectiveness of protection, but you are limited to only the damage types that are in the name. Only projectiles, fire, or explosions. Blast protection also reduces knockback taken. Taken from explosions, which is nice, but not amazing. And I believe that was changed to be a stacking effect instead of something you get from just one and be enough. Because I don't believe it stacked before. And now I believe either Mojang was going to, or they did nerf it and then made it stack as well. Which I guess gives you a reason to have more than one of the gear, but that's really all I have good about it. Projectile protection doesn't have a secondary effect, but outside of basic protection, projectiles are probably the most common of the three specific protections, so it kind of makes sense that that one of the ones that are selective would be only able to be used on... that's not good. Oops. But it makes sense that of all of the armor pieces, it would be projectile protection to not have an extra effect, and fire protection makes you burn less. You don't stay on fire for nearly as long. With fire protection. These are nice, but protection is just better because it affects all damage, and there are some things only affected by that can only be diagonal. There is a certain type of attack that the final boss has, the Ender Dragon. I might as well just say it. This is a plot-heavy game. Yeah, the Ender Dragon itself actually does have an attack that only protection can reduce your damage from, and otherwise it pierces your armor. But, keep going with the other stuff. Helmets specifically have access to Aqua Affinity, which boosts underwater mining speed, as well as Respiration, which lets you breathe underwater for longer. All armor pieces have access to Forms, which lowers your durability, but it does some damage back to things attacking you. Leggings have access to Swift Sneak, which is only gotten from ancient cities as books. Enchanting books as something you will find occasionally, and that have enchantments that you can apply to any piece of gear. And it'll apply all the compatible enchantments if you do. Swift Sneak is one of the ones you cannot get from other sources. And as for the boots, there is another book exclusive enchantment, Soul Speed, which does kind of what you'd expect. You get more speed on Soul Sand and Soul Soil, and you can only get that from battering with piglins. As for the other two boot enchantments, though, or other three, you have Death Strider, which increases your movement speed underwater. Feather Falling... Oh, I forgot to mention levels! Thorns goes up to 3. Aqua Affinity is only 1. Respiration goes to 3. Soul Speed goes up to 3. Swift Sneak goes up to 3. And now we're popped back up. Death Strider also goes up to 3. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. Feather Falling goes up to 4, and it lowers your fall damage. And then Frostwalker, which I forgot to mention with Death Strider, you cannot have both of those enchantments. Those are incompatible ones. You can have Death Strider, or you can have Frostwalker. Personally, I kind of prefer Death Strider. Because Frostwalker freezes water source blocks temporarily. They will then proceed to melt out. It also, I believe, nullifies damage from magma blocks. But you need to be on top of the water. It will freeze it, and it goes up to level 2 for Frostwalker, so you get a bigger area of effect frozen with that. Now for the sword and axe enchantments, we have, because these two are sharpness, which just instead of boost damage and is available for swords and axes. Because this is just general weapon enchantments. There's yeah, smiting also can boost your damage to undead mobs. Oh, sharpness goes up to 5. I keep forgetting to mention that. I'm so sorry. And it's only allowed on sword and axes. You cannot put it with Smite or Bane of Arthropods, which are the next two we're going to go over. All three of these go up to level 5. Smite boosts damage to undead mobs. Sharpness just boosts damage to everything. I'm messing up a lot, I'm sorry. But yeah. Smite is damage to undead mobs up. This is better in Java than Bedrock. In Bedrock, or rather, Sharpness is better in Bedrock than Java. When you are in Bedrock, you always want to be using Sharpness on a sword, whereas you can probably afford to use Smite on that. And you might want to, and I believe it's better to swap those for Java. I want to say that was the case. Because you can... Mostly because the axe is so strong anyway, whereas you can make a sword that can one-shot more things, I believe is the case. I'm not entirely sure. As you can probably tell, I've never played Java. I might eventually play Java, not for this Let's Play. This Let's Play always would have been Bedrock, because that one's just more accessible. And by extension, the better version for a Let's Play. But anyway, Banes of Arthropods. To quote what I put in my note, bad! Don't use it! Oh, you wanna know what it does? Boost damage to spiders, cave spiders, endermite, silverfish. And silverfish. And on top of that, you give them slowness 4. But you can use sharpness to one-hit kill literally all of those things in Bedrock, and I believe also Java. So what does it friggin' matter? And yeah, you can use this on swords, axes, and maces as well. Now for some mace-only enchantments. We haven't seen the mace, but its whole thing is it does more damage the farther you fall. And I believe if you land a hit, it also will cancel your fall damage. But only if you land a hit. Density makes it so you get more damage while falling. Which I don't really care, and you can't put it with Breach or any of the ones we mentioned before, Smite and Bane of Arthropods. Same goes for Breach, except with Density instead, which lowers armor effectiveness per level. Density goes up to level 5, and Breach goes up to level 4. Now for some, and those I missed one of these. Windburst is also a mace only. It is not exclusive, unlike the other ones. And it gives you a boost of wind, and it's only gotten from child trainers. So yeah, whenever you smash something with a mace with Windburst, you get boosted up into the air. So you can kind of chain attack with it. Now for some sword only ones. Fire aspect sets the target on fire, as you might guess. Even if you one-shot kill, this does count as dying to fire damage for the purpose of mobs that drop food. So you'll get cooked beef instead of raw beef and other stuff like that. Knockback I don't really like. It's good if you're not that good, but as you get better at the game, you don't really need it as much, and you find yourself kind of wanting to not have it, in fact. The reason why you don't want it if you're good at the game is because it makes things get knocked back farther, but this can make it harder to combo attack and just not need to really worry about them being away from you because they're dead. You also have looting. Oh, I didn't mention both knockback and fire aspect goes up to 2, and Windburst goes up to 3. I'm probably putting this on screen, come to think of it, but I'm sorry. Looting it goes up to 3, and it boosts drop rate as well as it's either boosting drop rate or boosting the amount of loot you get from mobs. I want to say it's the latter, and you just get more stuff. And something exclusive to Java Edition is Sweeping Edge, which makes it so that you do more splash damage with swords. Because in that version of the game, swords have a AoE attack that hits multiple mobs in front. This is kind of balanced by that version having attack speed, so you need to wait to keep attacking if you want to actually do good damage. So it's not as overpowered as it sounds, since you can't just spam attack like you can with swords, like you can in Bedrock. And Sweeping Edge also caps out at level 3. Now we get to Trident enchantments. First off is Impaling, which does more damage to anything in water in Bedrock. So this includes both underwater and in the rain. And this is a better increase in sharpness, meaning during many days you're underwater, tridents with Impaling 5 are stronger than netherite swords with sharpness 5. Of course, you're losing out on some other stuff. However, outside of the water, when it's not raining, you are still better off with your sharpness sword. This does not matter if you're following with Java Edition, because damage to aquatic mobs up instead. This is dramatically worse. You can pretty much get around just fine with because this only really affects non-hostile mobs that will die in one hit anyway to any real enchantment. Or it won't matter as much because what the frick am I saying? Or it's damage up against grounds, which you have Smite for, and Guardians, which I don't know if there's actually a way around Guardians in Java. So I guess it's useful for that, but overall, Impaling is a lot worse in Java, whereas it's amazing in Bedrock, and by extension, Tridents are worse, because Tridents don't have any other damage increasing abilities. Now for the mutually exclusive, Riptide cannot be placed with Loyalty or Chain. Oh, and Impaling goes up to level 5. Riptide can go up to level 3, and it replaces the throw you can do with Trident with a dash that needs you to be in the same. It needs you to either be in water or for it to be raining. Basically, if you would take more damage from Tridents with Impaling, you can use Riptide to launch yourself forwards. Or it's into any direction. You basically throw yourself with the Trident. Loyalty and Chainlink, however, cannot be put with Riptide. They can be put together. Loyalty goes up to 3 and returns your Trident to you when you throw it. I believe higher levels increase the speed of this. On the other hand, Channeling makes it so that turns your Trident into Force Hammer. You will call down lightning during thunderstorms. This is good, but not broken. The reason I say this is, honestly, as good as that is, you need to be during a thunderstorm, which boosts the amount of mobs you're fighting. So, you don't get, and they're not the most common things anyway, unless you're me AFK. So, it's not that useful in practice, at least from my experience. Now for the bow enchantment. Power goes up to 5 and increases bow damage. Punch goes up to 2 and will make bows do more knockback, which honestly, I do find knockback actually useful or I find punch actually useful on like knockback, since if I'm already shooting them, it doesn't help me for them to not be, it doesn't not help me for them to be even further out of my range, or even further away, because that's not likely to put them out of my range. It also has access to flame, which sets the attack on fire. It's the bow version of fire aspect. Infinity is a really interesting enchantment. You are not allowed to use it with mending, meaning eventually you will be forced to repair or replace the bow, because eventually it will get too expensive to repair. But you do not spend arrows. Some would say that's better. I would say I would rather have a bow that will never break and just need to replace the arrows, especially when villagers exist, than not needed waste resources on arrows, but need to make a new bow at some point. For crossbow enchantment, multi-shot makes it so that a crossbow will shoot 3 arrows instead of 1. Piercing, which can go up to level 4, will make it so that your arrows go through enemies, so you can hit multiple. Quick Catch increases or lowers the amount of time you actually draw your crossbow. Crossbows draw very slowly compared to bows. So this is very useful. Piercing and Quick Catch goes up to 3. I already mentioned piercing. Efficiency is usable on any tool, really. And it makes it so that it increases your mining speed when breaking a tool or breaking a block that tool is effective for. So, for example, you break stone faster with a pickaxe. Wood faster with an axe. Dirt faster with a shovel. That kind of thing. Forging will boost the drop chance and rate of blocks for items. So basically, you get more diamonds, and flip, is basically what I said. You get more ore. I don't know what putting it on an axe actually does, and I believe you'll get more flint from gravel with a shovel with this. Silk Touch is interesting. Mine's block will drop up instead of what that block would otherwise drop, so you can actually get ore. If you give with a Silk Touch pickaxe, you'll actually get whatever the normal ore for that pickaxe is. For that block is. So you'll get diamond ore instead of diamond. I believe you'll also always get gravel instead of flint. And then there are 2 enchantments that the fishing rod alone gets. Luck is increases the chance of rare loot when you're fishing and goes up to level 3. While Lure goes up to level 3 and makes it so you wait less time before getting a bite when fishing. As you probably guessed, those last 2 are the least exciting because pickaxes. In addition, just because you can enchant something with mending and unbreaking doesn't inherently make it so that you what am I trying to say here? Okay, well, I think first thing I'm trying to say is I'm going to check that off. What was I trying to say? I don't even remember what I was trying to say. Yeah, but yeah, now that we've done that, let's get back in it. Now that you know how to do some enchanting, how about actually getting a table set up? Because that's another important thing. And you gotta do. Ooh, what do you have to trade? I don't have access to that tree yet. I don't have access to Sea Pickle. That's not that great. That's not that great. Yeah, your trades kind of suck, dude. But let's get into actually how to set up an enchantment table. Now that we're done with that, with what the enchantments actually are, somewhat poorly, but still, I'll have a lot of editing work. I can already tell. So let's get back to the castle. Because I actually already do have that enchantment set up at the castle that we can just use to demonstrate it fairly easily. Nope, wrong button. But yeah, quickly heading back to the castle. Let's hit up the library because that actually does have what we need in it in order to show things off. Because now that we know what they are, how about how to actually get them from the enchantment table? In order to do that, however, I am gonna have to go over and do some trading with the villagers. So I'll take a lot of extra stuff with me and see what we return with. If in order to upgrade our gear. Here, so we can actually enchant some flip today. I will say, every single enchantment can be placed onto a book as well. Which is something useful to know. So, I would like a ton of emerald, please. Nope, get over here. Okay, screw you too. I'll pay into it for the sake of the episode. Screw you. No, I just traded with you. No, you're gonna be increased. No, you're not. I would like at least a sword to work with, so I'll take this. I would like to... Oh no, you're probably... Yeah, you are not. You're not great. Oh, yes you... Oh, come on! Get out of my boat. Okay, well now it's becoming night. I've already traded if you haven't, and you're already tradable again if you are the same guy. I have dramatically less iron than I had before. Give me all the gold you will, and give me as much from my ground flesh as you will. This is something we're gonna need soon. Soon, but not now. Oh no, you are an armor. You're the one who hasn't grown up. Up, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, nah, you definitely hasn't grown up yet. So I already traded with you. Is there anyone I haven't traded with that I want to? I mean, other than you, but you won't trade with me yet. I don't think so. So what has some... I can also just use these two bottom pieces of equipment. And I also need to... Who has the protection chest plate? Because I can use that as a demonstration as well. Although, assuming I can... Oh, I can definitely afford it. And that one is protection too. So, with my hard-earned emeralds spent, let's go back to the castle, because we got some stuff to show off. And some gear to upgrade for how exactly enchanting works. This is going to cost me most of the levels I got today, I can already tell. But you need to be at least level 30 for the best enchantments. And we're gonna go over exactly how this works once we get inside. Alright, and get a little bit of work done. First off, you need to realize you put the chest over here. Here, and I'm going to, first off, show... Okay, these are both protection, those both can stay. Yes, there's Grindstone. Will remove enchantments for you and give you a slight refund on EXP. Now then, for an enchantment setup, at most 2 blocks high. Is that blocking that? That might have been blocking that. Okay, I'm gonna... No, I believe we're still able to get max level enchantments even with that there. Nothing between your bookshelves can exist. Not a torch will break the circuit, carpet will break the circuit, snow will break the circuit. Anything other than air, it will not... You will not be able to empower your enchantment table. Bookshelves make your enchantments stronger. But it also raises the level you must be to even place the enchantment on your items. That's Unbreaking 3. That's Sharpness 2. So, first off, you'll see our minimum levels that we need to actively be on the right. On the left is the level cost, and these will always be the same. This also will cost the same amount in Lapis. Yeah, it makes sense to do this and just scrub the sword over here. Yeah, to get a better enchantment. And we don't have a lot of chances to get enchantments today, because you can, if you want to get a reroll, you need to enchant something new. Smite 4, you gotta be kidding. Okay, we'll come back to the sword. Let's see what we can get for this. Protection 1 would be better than anything else here. I'm gonna look at my pants before I actually confirm anything, though. Protection 4 is amazing. We're taking that. No, I want to check my sword again. Looting 3 would be amazing. Let's take it. And that's not good. We got unlucky. We got knockback onto this thing as well as a bonus, which normally is a good thing. Bonus enchantment, not so much when you don't want a certain one, and knockback has downside. Are you kidding? Both have knockback? Give me back my Unbreaking 3. Okay, so this one is once again Unbreaking 3. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to the XP farm. I'm to grind up another 3 levels to re-enchant my boots. And or this. Oh, that's sharpness 4. I want that. Ah! For the love of... Why must I get constantly what I do not want? We can now see we can no longer afford that sharpness 4 that would be able to be used to replace that because we're not level 30. I'm gonna toss back on my pants and we're gonna have to go back over to the XP farm, level up 6 more times to keep going. Going with our enchantments because, yeah, as you can tell, I don't like using knockback on my swords. And we just got it 3 separate times. Because friggin' of course. Now, I will show why I got that chest plate is there is a way to level up your enchantments, and that's in combining 2 enchantments of the same enchantment twice at the same level in a anvil will give you the higher level variant if it exists. So if you put 2 protection of the same level, it will upgrade provided there is something for it to a level higher. So you can't put 2 protection 4s in to get protection 5 because that doesn't exist. Which is why I got this extra chest plate. And hopefully we'll get the same thing for the sword. We have Unbreaking 3 now, which means I can skip because every time you can enchant something that already has an enchantment, and every time you work in a anvil, you make it so that the next time you do work with that item, it becomes more expensive. In addition, after a certain point, you will actually, you'll lose, after, I believe it's like 40 or 60, levels is where you're just cut off and you're not allowed to enchant any higher. In addition, unless there's an enchantment something's incompatible with, there's no way to remove just 1 enchantment, which is why I had to just scrub the entire sword. Despite the swords having enchantments I did actually want. And I'll need to go to at least level 33. Because I want a better enchantment on my boots. I got really lucky with the pants, though. Because, as you heard earlier, that's the highest level of protection we can even get. And some items are a lot easier to get maxed out than others. For example, we have this pickaxe at efficiency 3 already, which is really nice. Which, we did do a bit of enchanting in the past, I know that. That's how we even got that. But we can definitely do a lot better. Also, did I say efficiency? Did I say about efficiency being able to go up to 5? Because I'm pretty sure it does cap as 3. If I said that before, I'm sorry. I know it probably corrected in editing if I did, but still. Yeah. This is a lot of what getting good enchanting gear is. I'll do the rest of it off camera, not before next episode, because whatever we do next episode, and I do mean it like that, I don't know what we're doing next episode. Oh, yet. Just that I want to do a lot of recording right now, so I'll figure something out. But whatever we do next episode is going to be recorded right away, so won't be able to do that quite next episode, but hopefully we can get that enchantment 4 without again getting knocked back. Because, yeah, I don't like knockback. it makes it harder to actually kill things in 2 hits, and a lot of things you can two-shot, which is very easy to do in Bedrock. With Java having its cooldown system, it's a lot more useful there. Since you can't just tap the button twice and have the same effect as if you hit it and just kill things in 2 shots instantly. So, yeah. And that's the level I need. So I'm gonna wait to make sure that everything drops down. Really important we couldn't get the looting before, unless we get lucky with this one, because as you can see, you can sometimes get bonus enchantments thrown in free of charge. Which is always nice when it happens. Not really much more than that, though. It is really just a nice bonus most of the time. And of course, I'll also need to make sure I toss mending onto all of my gear. Because, quite frankly, I do roughly know what I'm hoping to get for my sword. What I really want is Sharpness 5, Looting 3, Fire Aspect 2, and then, of course, Unbreaking 3 Mending, but you want that on pretty much everything. And so, yeah. You pretty much want everything to have Unbreaking 3 Mending. Which is why I'm probably going to make the next villager I put onto the raft a villager with, I'm going to get a librarian with Unbreaking 3. Since those are the enchantments, you want everything to have those enchantments. Please no knockback. Okay. And then fire protection, I guess I'll just settle for protection 1. And because I don't have the XP to make sure I get anything better. But now comes the time to remove my shirt. And toss these into the thing. For 3 levels, we now have protection 3 on a diamond chestplate. And we can also toss these together to get, for 6, for Unbreaking 3 Sharpness 4. You can also rename stuff here, which will actually change its name in the text box. It does cost a level plus your penalty for previous use of that item in an anvil. So it can get quite expensive if you're not... Oh, I need that back. Can get quite expensive if you're not careful. So make sure you do that while you're doing something else, and not as a separate thing, because it will also cost you for that extra penalty in the anvil. But yeah, you need 30 levels minimum for the best enchantments from an enchanting table. It's always going to be this bottom slot, and you will need to spend 3 levels, and also, yeah. What am I trying to say? You need to spend 3 levels, and you will need to be at least level 30. With both of those conditions met, you will get at your... Okay, chill! You'll get your max level enchantment, which is something very good that you absolutely do want. One last thing I will say for channeling that I didn't think to mention is some mobs will transform into other mobs if struck by lightning. Zombie piglins, or pigs will turn into zombie piglins. I believe villagers turn into witches. And I want to say there's something else that I'm not remembering. Creepers turn into charged creepers, which are even stronger with a bigger blast radius. But if you kill a mob with a charged creeper, they will drop their head. I need to look at the items I still need. And see if there's any other utility blocks I can make. Okay, for those last two rooms. I'm thinking I might move the portal into one of them. I don't know what the other would end up being, though. I really don't know what the other will end up being. I mean, I guess I could make a dedicated furnace for them, but I don't really know how I decorate it is the problem. I could also expand one of the rooms I actually do have, though, which that might be smart. Another idea I'm really liking is the idea of turning this part into a bit of a loft, so that there's just a railing instead of an actual room above this one. So I might go ahead and do that. I don't have any wood. But that's not gonna be in today's episode. We're gonna figure out what we're doing next episode. See y'all then.